Good morning, everybody. How we doing? Sam, United People's TV, here for another show. The latest United news for you, as always, going to speak about, well, we're going to have a little bit of an academy special this morning. United's under 18s? Are they under 18? I think it's under 18s. Anyway, FA Youth Cup at Old Trafford last night, a 1-0 win over Peterborough, and a goal by a certain JJ Gabriel. Of course, we did a video on him 4 months ago. I'm going to bring you an update video on him as a lunchtime video today. We'll have a little chat about him. We'll also speak about Harry Amass, Lacey, Ruben Amrim, the academy players, Aiden Heaven, and we'll also speak about Shesko's injury, the latest and comments from his agent, and the expectation maybe that he could be back in the squad to face Bournemouth, which would be welcome. I don't know. I personally, I'll speak about that later. And as always, you can let me know what you think throughout the entire show. I'll try and answer as many of your questions and your comments as I possibly can, even if I disagree with them. Sometimes we disagree. Ain't a problem. Let me see who... Oh, dear. That's random. David Ornstein coming here. Max Dowman expected to be out for approximately 2 months after suffering ankle ligament damage. And that was in the behind closed doors friendly against United. And that's kind of... I mean, that sucks for him, man. Considering I was going to speak about Max Dowman. Anyway, let me see who's here. Hello. Got a bit distracted by that. Josh, good morning to you. Carl, good morning to you as well. And you're there too. And Steph, I did leave the link for the quiz already in the chat. And I will leave it later on and I'll pin it. But right now, you can see what the link is. Grab yourself a £1 ticket. You can win a PS5. Remember that 100% of proceeds from this are going to charity. All right? This is our UPTV community way of giving. And one of you is going to win a PS5, which I'm going to buy. All right? Let me see who's here from the member gang as well. Sam Turner, good morning to you. Mike, we've got Dadaman, we've got M.A. Wood, and some non-members. Some Joe Mamilari, we've got Oust, we've got Josh Birch, we've got Hashu, and we've got Bradley Dry, watching from South Africa. Good morning to you. Someone watching from Brisbane in Australia. Not so much good morning to you. I'm joking. I don't really care. I quite enjoy cricket, but I don't watch it enough to really, truly care. Shall we get on with today's show? Right? I think we should. I saw this yesterday, and this made me just go, bloody hell, like, what has been going on there? No, I don't really pay... I don't mean this in a... Like, I don't give a toss way, but I'm so busy with what I do with United and covering United in the depth that I do every single day that I don't really get to follow too much outside of the Premier League. Has it really been going that bad? I took a look at the table. They're like, what, 4 points behind Barca or something like that? But there's talk of Xabi Alonso being sacked. I was like, what's going on there? I saw the whole kind of falling out with Vinicius Jr., but you can almost see what's going to happen here, right? You can see it. What, Xabi Alonso being sacked? Arne Slot being sacked? Xabi Alonso coming to Liverpool the year after he said no to Liverpool? It's pretty much written, isn't it? That's going to happen. Right? So prepare yourselves for that. Very strange. Also a little bit, I wouldn't say this is Joe down there been going terrible. Sam, Madrid's my second team. So like, very tempted to ban you for a day for saying such things. Do people actually... No, people don't have second teams. Joe does. But that's disgusting. That's disgusting. Which one of you has done a shite and not flushed? One of the greatest of all time videos on the internet. Anyway, this is unexpected, I think is the best way to describe it. News came out over the last couple of days that Johnny Evans actually stepped down from that Head of Loans and Pathways role that he only started a few months ago. Someone down there asking, can you win the PS5 outside of the UK? You can win the PS5. Well, you'll win a cash equivalent of the PS5. We'll only be sending the PS5 to someone inside the UK. If you're outside of the UK, we'll send the cash equivalent because you can't then guarantee. It'd just be a bit risky to send the PS5 that far, wouldn't it? So cash makes more sense. Anyway. Johnny Evans. I'm surprised at that. Basically, what's been reported is that he kind of wants to step back and spend some time with family. Because if you're looking at loans, how involved was Johnny Evans in choosing Sheffield Wednesday for Harry Amass? I'm not sure. How involved was Johnny Evans in choosing Bristol City for Radek Vitek? I'm unsure. I think United will very much replace Johnny Evans. I don't know whether that's going to be done internally or whether we're going to bring someone in, but I'd say it's almost... Is it more critical than ever for United to be able to get loans correct? Maybe. The reason I'm saying that, and it kind of leads into the conversation around the academy. Now, as I just said there, like Max Dowman getting that sucks for him, man. A 2-month-long injury. But you'll remember I did this video, right? You can see the dates on it there. Did a video on JJ Gabriel. My God, how young is he there? Jeez. 12th of July, right? Let's have a little listen to a little bit of this. What did I say? It's going to be two of me on screen now. Now, United, of course, do have vast Look at the lighting difference. And the camera difference. Upgrade. Anyway. Experience in managing young talents. And the club's approach to JJ and his development seems thoughtful. The academy staff need to be careful not to rush his physical development. There should be a clear plan for his progression through the age groups. Support for the mental side of dealing with the attention will be crucial. And the club can learn from previous experiences with young players. Understanding the importance of keeping things in perspective, I'd say, will be key. JJ's family will need to be part of this process, working together to ensure he continues his football, and this support structure will be vital as he continues to develop. There is absolutely no doubt that JJ Gabriel is an incredible talent, and he could well be breaking records in the future. This video has been produced so you can understand a bit more about his progress, his breakthrough, what he's... Anyway, that's enough of double me. But we did that video 4 months ago because there was a lot of... there was a lot of noise going around, and I'll be honest, I was skeptical about doing a video on a 14-year-old. And it's something that I gave a little sort of disclaimer at the beginning of the video. I was like, this is not a video to hype up, oh my God, like, look at this 14-year-old, he's going to be the next Lamine Yamal, blah, blah, blah. I was saying, look, there's a lot of noise going around, so here's just a summary of everything that's happened so far. And that's what I'm going to do with my follow-up video today, because I'll be honest, a lot has happened since the summer with JJ Gabriel. And I wouldn't say it's peaked. You could probably say this is probably the highlight of his season so far, I suppose. But United's under-18s played at Old Trafford yesterday in the FA Youth Cup. Really prestigious competition. It means so much to Manchester United. Last time we won it was in 2022. Of course, in that team we had a certain Alejandro Garnacho, who was the star of the whole tournament. We had a certain Kobbie Mainoo. Now, JJ scored the only goal yesterday, and in doing so, well, actually, prior to that, he was the youngest ever player, I think, for Manchester United in the FA Youth Cup. It was Amari Forson before him. Remember Amari Forson? I think, was he the lad that Ten Hag ended up like fast-tracking into the first team for like 2 games, and then he went on loan to, was it loan or sold somewhere else? I don't know. And then JJ Gabriel scored the only goal, and it was a great goal. Pass to the edge of the box, first time, opened his body, side foot, almost like stroked it into the bottom right-hand corner. Keeper had no chance. 1-0 in front of the Stretford end. Probably the first of many goals we'll see JJ Gabriel score in front of the Stretford end at Old Trafford. Right? For a 15-year-old, this is kind of why the Max Dowman situation keeps reverberating in my head. It's really not typical for a 15-year-old to garner this sort of attention that JJ Gabriel is garnering. Now, during the summer, United had to step in because JJ Gabriel basically told the club, I'm ready to leave now. Thanks for everything so far. But Jason Wilcox stepped in and was able to convince JJ Gabriel to stay at the club, that Manchester United was the best place for him at this particular point in his career and the pathways that we can offer. So I just think it's worthy having a conversation about the academy right now, especially like Shay Lacey's been on the bench for the last couple of games. Obviously didn't make his debut against Wolves. I was a little bit disappointed about. I made that clear at the time. But it kind of feels a little bit different with JJ Gabriel compared to other youngsters. Right? And you're saying you're concerned about how much is being, well, how much attention I suppose he's getting. Yeah, and I'm worried about that. But I've been saying this for years and years and years because it's just clear that the pattern has emerged. Youngsters, again, this is very social media driven. Like, youngsters are able to garner attention significantly younger than they ever were before. Like, back in the day, I don't know, like even a few years ago, really, you just wouldn't have known about a youngster, even a 13, 14, 15-year-old who was still making waves, because there wouldn't really be any footage of it. There wouldn't be any stuff or videos that were shared or anything like that. You'd hear about it, maybe, but it wouldn't really go any further than that. Now it's just very different. Like, just as I covered there in the video from 4 months ago, there was videos of him as a 9-year-old doing mad tricks and mad stuff. Now, Barcelona came sniffing around JJ Gabriel this summer. They wanted him. And when it comes to the progress this year, this must be really difficult to manage, and especially at a club like Manchester United. Like, it's obvious, right, that this lad's a special talent. How do you manage that and bring him through? Because as much as I love my football club and as much as I love our academy record that goes the whole way back to 1937, I look at the players who have come through Manchester United's academy in the last few years, and I question how they've been, not how they've been developed. But look, like Garnacho, for example, Ten Hag leaned on him so hard that he got a massively inflated sense of self-importance. And then we saw what happened when he left. I'm sure you saw the interview. Like, he doesn't regret anything about him leaving. I'm like, lad, I don't regret you leaving at all, in the slightest. I don't particularly think that Garnacho has developed as a footballer in the last 12 to 14 to 16 months. I think he's still doing the exact same thing in the exact same style as he was before. That's not what you need to do at that age. You need to develop and improve and mature as a footballer. And I don't think Garnacho has matured at all as a footballer. But I'm not sure whether that was possible, because he was thrust into the spotlight so hard and just expected to be a professional, robotic, ready-made player at that point. Wasn't really too much room for development. And then there's Kobbie. Now, Kobbie right now is just a case. It's quite a shit case, but it's very much a case of the manager just wants something different from his midfielders. So it's more of a profile thing and the focus on the profile rather than the qualities of the player. Like, okay, Ant, you're down there talking about like how first team players could be mentors. I actually said this in the Euro video. I said the way that Rio has worked with Euro since before he signed, when we were first linked with him and he gave him a call and he spoke to him then, and then he was involved in the sort of announcement video, and he's also done an interview with him and he sort of speaks out in support of him. That makes a big, big difference. Like, if Lenny Yoro now knows that if he ever gets into any rough patches, he can probably pick up the phone and speak to Rio, a man who's won it all at United in the greatest, arguably the greatest ever Premier League defensive setup. The perfect mentor to speak to. Now, you've got Bruno, who, mate, as far as a role model goes, you aren't going to find me a better one at United. I'm listening, right? I'll open it up. Who do you think, throw it in the chat, who do you think would be the best mentors, as far as first team players, for anybody coming through, so like JJ Gabriel or Shay Lacey or Bendito Mantato or any of the other youngsters coming through? Who would you say are the best role models and mentors to have in that first team environment? I'm trying to think. I don't really think you can use anybody who's just joined the club this year. You can't really speak about Mbeumo or Cunha because they're still getting used to it. Harry Maguire, I think, is a pretty good shout. De Ligt, also a very good shout. Both of those, I agree with them. Tom Heaton. Everyone loves Tom Heaton. Don't really hear much about him. Never see him, but everyone really speaks good about him. Casemiro. How good is Casemiro's English? I actually don't know. Mount. I think Mount's a pretty... Yeah, every manager who's ever had Mason Mount loves him, don't they? I think Maguire. I'll go Bruno top. I go Maguire. I go De Ligt. Because I suppose in terms of the mentorship, like, again, I think this is a really interesting conversation because right now, I've been speaking about this for a while, you know it, like we have got a ridiculous crop of youngsters in our academy right now. We really do. JJ Gabriel is one that people are going to be talking about, obviously, but Shea Lacey's on the verge of breaking, well, he's in the first team squad, but he's on the verge of making his debut. It would have been last year if it wasn't for injuries. Those aside, you can look towards Bendito Mantato, who's gone back into the under-18s environment. You can speak about Jim Thwaites. You can speak about JJ Gabriel. You can speak about Gabriel Bianchetti. There really are a lot of players who I think have potential. They're not all going to make it. But bringing those into the first team environment, that is what makes United. As far as I'm concerned, it's probably one of the most important parts of our identity. But the question I'm going to ask you there, just as an extension of what I said earlier, what do you think would be the most important part of a first team player being a mentor to these youngsters? Is it teaching them how to deal with the attention? Because I'm trying to think of like what the greatest lesson is that they could teach them. Yeah, experience, but experience is a bit of a grand statement, if I'm honest. Experience can cover loads of different areas. I think in particular it's how to deal with the attention. How can you switch off? Because that's probably a question I would ask. If I was like a 15, 16-year-old, 17-year-old coming through, like, how do you turn off from that? Like, how do you not focus on that attention? How is it you're able to, like Bruno Fernandes in particular? You hear every time, like, something goes wrong, like, Bruno Fernandes is a rat. That's what's being shouted by the, like, away end. When we're playing West Ham. Trying to get under his skin. How do you switch off from 3,000-4,000 people calling you a rat when you're playing football? How do you do that? What's the mentally? How do you do these things? Because at United it's fiercer than ever, and anywhere else. I think it's just an interesting conversation. Let me see what you're saying down here. Mentality. Chris is saying, my main concern with Ruben is the lack of confidence in our academy. Feels like Lacey is on the bench as a token gesture. No space for Kobbie. Lacey's definitely not on the bench as a token gesture. No space for Kobbie. Unfortunately, that's down to purely a profile thing, which I don't particularly agree with, given that our midfield is still getting overran every game. If I'm being honest. Akash saying social media training would be excellent. A social media training is dead easy, Akash. Don't use it. Get an agent, get a representative to run your brand for you. But don't do it yourself. As fun as it is to see Ahmad doing some mad stuff, seems like an absolute menace in the dressing room in a good way. Like fun menace. Just don't use it, lads. Like, there's really not much benefit for you. I don't think so anyway. Don't expose yourself to it. Johnny's saying teaching them to stay grounded and working hard, experience both club and media. Someone says down there, helping them to relax in the first team environment, setting the standards, giving them aspirations. It's a good question, I think, this. Being professional when things aren't going your way. Winning mentality and protecting themselves from the media. Knowledge of how to remain grounded and focused. Quite a lot of comments all sort of saying the similar sorts of things. But my lunchtime video today, what's that going to be? Have some eggs? Have some bacon maybe? Ooh, lunchtime, come on. Anyway, my lunchtime video, is going to be on this lad, and a follow-up from the video we did 4 months ago, because since then he's had a cracking season with the under-18s with Fletcher. He's met Fergie. What happened there? What's happening with other clubs being interested in him? How many times has he trained with the first team? What's going to be the next steps? All these things. And when can he make his debut? Don't really think that's a conversation for this season, but go there. Lunchtime is Greg's, someone says down there. I can't remember the last time I had a Greg's. But I love a sausage roll. Man, I love a sausage roll. You know what's a bit weird? I don't know if it's just me. I swear sometimes the cheaper sausage rolls taste nicer than the more expensive ones. There's something about... I used to have that at lunch at school. A little bag of chips. I was a fatty, by the way. Bag of chips with 2 little sausage rolls in. Come on. That's Jamie Oliver. Stick that up your school dinners. What's going on there? Lacey and Kobbie Mainoo starting the FA Cup third round against Brighton. Or was it too much of a risk? Given our season, I don't think we'll be going into that FA Cup and just playing youngsters, will we? We're only in the Premier League. We've knocked out the League Cup at the first knock-ins. We'll want to win the FA Cup this season. That's what I think, so anyway. But yeah. It's a very interesting time with our academy, and we've just got a new academy director in Stephen Torpey, who we brought in from Brentford. Nick Cox has just left, and Amrim's spoken about it quite a few times. I think Jim Ratcliffe too, about how Manchester United's academy has to be better. Now, I don't know whether that's to do with the facilities, which we know we're going to be getting overhauled. Is that going to happen this summer? I can't remember exactly when the club said they were going to be doing it, but I think the facilities are going to be upgraded, and the pathway. How do you get these players into the first team environment? Well, you use situations like this. And I suppose it goes to show you that my assessment of what makes a good loan was completely and utterly wrong. In my mind, I always wanted Manchester United players, in an ideal world, to go on loan to championship clubs who are going to be pushing for promotion. Somebody who's got a chance of getting inside those playoffs that season. I think that's the best environment for it. I kind of stand by my point there. That would be the best environment. But it doesn't mean environments like this can't be beneficial. Harry Amass went to Sheffield Wednesday. I was dead concerned because it's a club that hadn't paid its staff and players like once or twice over the last few months prior to him joining. But he's had a superb loan spell. Just won their Player of the Month, by the way, in November. And they are rock bottom. Had 2 points deductions, I think, so far this season. This is from the BBC, right? On his future. He's had an excellent loan spell at Sheffield Wednesday. Excelled in the left wing-back role. Wednesday would like to keep Amass, but are aware there are a number of options available for the former Watford schoolboy. And I don't like this bit. Including alternative loans and a permanent sale. Now, I do not think that Manchester United are going to be considering a permanent sale of Harry Amass. And I very much think the Alvaro Carreras situation has... You know, in the same way that Man United losing Paul Pogba on a free all those years ago, it led to... And this was completely the wrong reactionary decision, by the way, from Ed Woodward. Then we started giving out contracts to make sure that players just didn't go down to zero and we didn't lose players on a free. So instead, we ended up with loads of players on inflated contracts that we then couldn't sell. So it actually went the opposite way. But I think because of what happened with Alvaro Fernandez, United won't just be selling Harry Amass. And I look at that position at our football club, and Dorgu, unfortunately for him, is just not developed enough. We're coming up to just under a year now for Dorgu, and I'm still looking at Dorgu thinking he's got good fundamentals and I like certain parts of his game, but this and this have to develop. It's exactly how I felt about him after 2 months in the role. It's not to say that we signed a terrible player, because I don't think we signed a terrible player. We signed a player who needed to develop, but unfortunately for him, so far hasn't developed enough. So that left wing back spot is completely open still. Amass, could he be coming back in January? Well, Diego Leon is going, I think, on loan to Nice. And again, this season was never a season where we could have or should have expected to see Diego Leon in a United shirt. This is a new thing that United started with Sesko Kone, and they're going to be continuing it. Right? Sesko Kone brought in for a year, developed in the background. If he wasn't for the fractured eye socket, you might be seeing Sesko Kone on a first team bench. Maybe. Don't know. But this is Diego Leon's year of settling into Europe. This almost feels like the pathway that they're going to be doing. Bring in, maybe the same thing will go for Christian Orozco, by the way, who joins in June. Next season, we'll see Christian Orozco playing with United's under-21s, training with the first team, maybe even going out on loan in January, maybe even going out on loan to Nice. Who knows? And then after that, when he's 19, Christian Orozco, then he comes into the conversation. What are you saying down here? Yeah, and I agree on that, about cut-offs, about development. Full well that I kind of judge my players fully in their second season at the football club. So I will judge Dorgu with more scrutiny, I suppose, come the second half of the season, rather than now. But unfortunately, he's just not developed enough. And then people speaking about Amrin, and this is why I kind of want to lead into back to the first team now, all right? Aiden Heaven, speaking after that game against Wolves, second start in a row after getting taken off against West Ham. And this is what he said down here. He said, look, there's many great defenders at this club, that he's trusting you to be at the middle of that defence, and he's trusting me a lot, talking about Amrim. Feel like I'm working hard every day in training. I'm showing he can trust me in the games that I'm playing. I thought I was a good player, but I knew I had to first gain the trust of the manager, and I'm slowly doing that. I feel like I'm doing well at the moment, but I've just got to keep working. And Adam Moynes, back to work, secretly listening. Come on. Everyone, did you ever used to do that at school? Random little sideways. You used to like sneak in a radio, pop the earphone down your sleeve. Just sit there like that. I remember listening to a World Cup once. And I was like, Paraguay have just scored. Yeah, it's 2-1. Anyway, back to my history lesson. Look, I used to love doing that. There's a lot said about Amrim's use of the youth and trust in the... I want to ask you where you stand on it. And then we'll move on. We'll speak about Shesko, which is today's main headline conversation. We'll speak about Kobbie. I don't think Kobbie's down to a lack of trust. I really don't. It's just down to, unfortunately, Amrim is pretty lasered on what he wants from a midfielder, and Mainoo doesn't tick those boxes. It's like a box-ticking exercise with Mainoo. It's very much a profile decision rather than a trust or age or experience decision. Should Leon deserve first minutes? Nope. This season, this year is not a conversation for Diego Leon in the first team environment. Nope. Out on loan. What are you saying down here? Too much pressure to throw the youth in. Does suck, man. Again, that's why I was confused about that. The fact that in the last 5 minutes against Wolves, that it wasn't as if I'm saying throw Lacey on, but given 5 minutes at the end of the game where it's 4-1, it just felt like the correct, free, less pressured environment to bring him on. Akash talking about Whitwell, Laurie Whitwell and Stretford Paddock, Amrim and Kobbie's relationship. Of course it's broken right now, man. It kind of goes without saying. I'm getting called Jay from in-betweeners down there. I've been called worse things in life. I'll deal with that. Is youth defined as aged 15 to 20? I don't know at what age. It's like, can't you can win like the PFA Young Player of the Year award and the Senior Player at the same bloody time when you're like 21 or something. I don't know what age a young player is still young these days. I almost feel that the experience of a footballer is more determined by how many first-team games he's played, arguably more so than what age he is. But then saying that, like Garnacho, I think was the youngest ever South American to reach 100 Premier League appearances. But I don't particularly think he matured over the last year or so. Yeah, let me see what you're saying down here about Amram in the youth. Sears, you're saying Amram can't afford to rotate the side when he needs wins. Next season, I would see better integration of youth. I mean, the counter argument to that is that, right, lads, it's 1-1 against West Ham. Is bringing on Martinez as a new centre-back really going to be the sort of, you talk about can't afford when you need to win games, well, is bringing on a centre-back instead of maybe switching it up and saying that at the same time. I remember being mad critical of when we were losing against Brentford and it ended up playing like Mason Mount at left wing back just to fit more attackers in the team, and it looked even worse. SAS saying there doesn't seem to be a good pathway to the first team as they play different systems. I think it's a good comment for leaving it, but I disagree with it because I actually think when it comes to first teams and the academy teams, previously I did think, well, obviously it would make sense if you're playing in the same system. And I suppose it would. It will make it easier. Like if you're at Barcelona, you're going to play 4-3. I actually don't know what. They don't really play 4-3-3. Do they play 4-3-3 now? It's a bit mad with handy flick, isn't it? Leave mad spaces. It would make it easier if there was a formation through the entire system, but it's more about the fundamentals of players. Like work rate out of possession. It doesn't matter what formation it is. If you have that same ethic, you can then apply yourself into any system. And younger players, I don't think should get like just taught how to play one particular style of football. It's more about these like 4, 5, 6 fundamentals and characteristics. If you learn these and you nail these, you can go and play in a 4-3-3. You can play 3 at the back. It doesn't really matter what system is playing because these characteristics carry across every system. It's interesting. But this is all part of what Stephen Torpey will be doing. Like, this is the right way to develop young players. Between the ages of 13 and 16, you kind of teach them like this. And then by the time they reach the under-18s, they'll be ready and like this. And connecting it all together. I don't think United have connected it together properly for a little while. And I think that's why there's been a bit of a disconnect. But we'll see what goes on. As I said, I wanted to have an academy special conversation today because it feels like the right time. Whether it's Lacey, JJ Gabriel, whether it's Harry Amass, there's an excellent crop of players. We actually had an academy video special planned and researched and scripted, I think about 6-7 weeks ago. Now, we might go back to it and refresh it and then publish it, but we haven't done it just yet. Right? Harry, you're saying, Amram said the same. It's about the kids understanding the roles on the pitch, not the formation. Yeah, I don't know what way you want to describe it, whether it's roles on the pitch, but don't obsess with a youngster under the age of 18 being like just a right winger and a right winger alone. It's the only position I can possibly play. Well, lad, that's not going to get you that far in football. Unless you are like an anomaly. Like Lamine Yamal is an anomaly. Was an anomaly. Who else? Can't remember off the top of my head. I'm sure there's some other youngsters like that. Esteval, maybe at Chelsea. Currently very fixed in one position. But I think Esteval's a bit more flexible. Either way, that's the chat about youth, right? I'm going to have a conversation about JJ Gabriel a bit deeper at lunchtime today. Now, moving on. Did the video yesterday running through the Wolves game. Spoke about all the key takeaways. Always like doing these videos. We do them after every loss as well, but sometimes I change the title and sort of how it is. Now, Bruno, of course. How many weeks in a row has he been? I swear that's like 3. No, it's not 3. But of course it's not because he wasn't in for the West Ham. But it feels like he's been up for that award a fair few times recently. Yes, Rooney was an anomaly. Where's that Rooney poster? I put it away. Poster, by the way. Look at that bad boy. I want to make I've always wanted to make like I think I've told you this before, like a Japanese inspired set of merch and posters. I've always wanted to do it, man. But yeah, you can grab these, uptvmerch.com. Get yours. Let me put the link for today's quiz as the pinned chat now. Replace pinned message. Bam. Right. Let's move on to this conversation. Yeah, that Fergie one is class, I'll be honest. They all are. Right. Shesko. Yeah, I know that Park is South Korean. I wasn't saying that it was, I was just looking at, I was just thinking about Asian designs. That's why I said Japanese. I know he's Korean. I'd love to do one Shinji Kagawa, like, for example. That'd be cool. Shesko. I should have made that clear. Yeah, fair enough calling me out on that. Shesko. He's been missing since Spurs away. Is that right? Yeah, Spurs away. Pulled up. And, I mean, I'll be honest, I wouldn't say that we've been struggling for goals in his absence. Remember that only City have scored more goals than Manchester United over the last 9 Premier League games. But I think we've missed Shesko in terms of our team shape. Xerxes scored a cracking goal against Crystal Palace. But if I'm being honest, I've been a little bit underwhelmed with his appearances. Overall, really good goal, but slightly underwhelmed. We need Shesko back in the team. Someone down there saying, Sam, you played football before? I played football until I was 14, I think. And then my coach, Freddie, quit. And then I was in secondary school. And then I turned into a little bit of a dick, really. And I never went back into football. And also, that I didn't know at that time that I have the condition I've got. But then it started to affect me more. I got diagnosed when I was like 16. So then my ability to run just faded away. Not that I could ever run that fast anyway, but this explained why I couldn't. Shesko. We've been waiting for him to come back, and now we're hearing this. Rob Dorset from Sky saying that he's close to a return, could feature against Bournemouth. My personal expectation here is that United will err on the side of caution with Shesko's return from injury. I just think it's a club default now, and I actually think it should be a club default. Like Martinez, you see how slowly, and that's a different case because it was such a significant injury, and the fact that he had a setback in a previous injury, so it really is kind of a special case scenario. But Shesko, I don't think the club will rush him back. Not out of desperation, not out of anything. He will come back into the team when he's full and ready. Now, that might mean that he's, as John says down there, he might be on the bench against Bournemouth. And maybe you might get a 5-10 minute run out. But it's good to hear that he's on the way back from injury because I think we're going to need him. Right? You've got Mbeumo and Ahmad leaving. Now, we don't know whether Ahmad and Mbeumo... There is a chance, by the way. There is a chance that Ahmad and Mbeumo are missing for Bournemouth. It sucks. It's like I forgot about this, by the way. Damn it. Mate, I do so much content. I just forget about the good stuff we do sometimes. Right? Big up to Dan. Big up to Nick. Latest episode of the podcast is out now on Spotify and Apple. The video version will be going out tonight at probably 7 p.m. Between 7 and 8 p.m. tonight on the main YouTube channel, if you prefer to watch it via video. All right? So that's on Spotify right now if you want to listen to it. And what was I saying? There was a reason I said that, and I've completely forgotten what it was. But, that was it. It's just sod's law that Man United are the only team playing on Monday. So, like, for example, Sunderland, I think, don't they have like 8 or 9 players that are going to be going to AFCON? They're playing Newcastle in their first time away derby in how long? Sod knows how long. But hypothetically, if they had played that on Monday night, like half of their players might have been gone. It's just unlucky. that United are playing on Monday night. And therefore, I think we're going to get some sort of clarity this week. But there still is a chance that Ahmad and Mbeumo and maybe Mazraoui are all unavailable for Bournemouth. And if that is the case, yeesh. Now, his agent has been speaking about it. Elvis. I was saying this in the pod yesterday. How many Elvises do you know? Just in general. Anybody here know an Elvis? I'm not talking about Elvis. Not really a used name these days, is it? Anybody call their kids Elvis? No? Revy saying, can we not send them after the game? I'm pretty sure that's what we did with Onana and Cameroon. But you remember what happened there? I think Onana ended up getting stuck somewhere, delayed flight, missed this, and ended up getting like a bus. I think he ended up missing the first game for Cameroon. Now, don't come at me like Elvis Costello. Like, you're going old school. Talking like young ones. Anybody know young Elvis? Some of you do. Anyway. This is Shesko's agent. Elvis. Saying this. He goes, Benjamin's feeling very good. Rehab is going as planned. He's really eager to return the pitch and he misses playing. He's a bit impatient. Hopefully he'll be back soon and where he feels most comfortable. It's hard to say exactly when. That'll be more up to the medical team and the coach, but I think we'll see him very soon on the pitch and perhaps even sooner than it might seem at this moment. And that's straight from the mouth of his agent. So, fingers crossed, we get Shesko back. We need him back. We certainly are a better team with a proper bloody hold-up, man. Like, what would you say is the thing that we are missing most without Shesko in the team? I think, I'm not saying that we're playing like Sam Allardyce target man football, but having the ability to knock the ball into your striker and for him to be able to, with his back to goal, under pressure from the opposition, take a touch, flick it on, take 2 touches, and pass it back out wide and then spin his defender, it makes such a difference in bringing the team up the pitch. And that's one thing I really do think that Xerxes hasn't brought in. Right? Mikey saying, worrying we get updates from agents. It's just his agent was speaking to out on like Slovenian TV more than anything else. SAS, you're saying link up play. John, you're saying target man up front. Aerial target in the box, says Jack. Man, do you know what's... I guarantee you we stop spamming crosses in the box when we've actually got the player who really wants crosses in the box. I really do think we will as well. Passing, hold-up play, ability, enabling us to play more direct. And Mbeumo seems to need his flicks with his runs. Who was that against? That was one of the early ready. Was that Chelsea? Shesko got the flick on and Mbeumo ran past. Who was it? Sanchez? I think he got sent off. I think we're missing his play with back to goal. That's all. Like whether it's Le Mans kicking it long, whether it's a pass coming into him, his ability to be able to hold that ball up and pass it off and then spin and bring the team up the pitch. He allows United to move up the pitch far better, is what I would say. Anyway, sounds like he's going to be back sooner rather than later, and that's a good thing. Unfortunately, we've got confirmation here. Wow. Ahmad's been called up by the Ivory Coast. I mean, we all know that was going to happen anyway, right? But he's definitely off. I don't know how we're going to replace Ahmad. I mean, I know how we're going to. It's going to be Delo, and then probably Dorgu out at left wing back, or maybe you might see Mard Shaw there. Don't know. But I don't think we're going to be able to replace him. And last talking point before we have the quiz for today, right? Speaking about Kobbie. And Rio Ferdinand's comments on him. Now, yesterday, I didn't actually cover it. I don't know why I didn't. I just forgot to get the clip up. Nicky Butt and Paul Scholes speaking on their pod. And they were basically saying, look, if I was Kobbie, if Kobbie asked me, I'd tell him to leave the club. And Rio's effectively saying, I think I agree with him. Man, isn't it sad when you've got 2 homegrown academy class of 92 talents in Scholes and Butt who are saying that, and Rio, one of our best ever players, really. And you're looking at them going, I think I might agree with you. I mean, I did a bloody video at the weekend saying, like, right now, Kobbie's got to leave United in January. He has to. And I think United have to let him leave. Or I feel that relationship's going to get broken beyond repair. Right? Like, Paul, you're talking about Kobbie having the most tackles and fouls in the 20 minutes. Like, I don't really want to talk about stats about anything to do with Kobbie's games like that. Like, someone down there saying, I think Pete don't agree with Scholes in this matter. Amron doesn't fancy him. What do you expect? That's kind of exactly the point. He doesn't fancy him. He doesn't really. So therefore, the opportunities aren't going to be there. So loan him out in January. Giggity saying, what if he goes in Jan? What then in the summer? Well, I don't know. But what I do know in the short term is that there isn't a solution at the football club. And therefore, going on loan to maybe Napoli, which is being linked with heavily, seems to be the go-to play. McTominay set a trend there. But let him play there for 6 months and then reassess in the summer. In the summer, by the way, where we sell Ugarte, Casemiro should move on, but then we probably sign 1, if not 2, top-level midfielders, which might even block his path even more. We don't know. I suppose we don't really need to speak about Kobbie that much more until there's actually some form of movement. It's kind of the way I look at it. Now, ladies and gents, you know what time it is. Come on. It's the quiz. The link is pinned to the chat. If you look in YouTube, look at the top of the chat box. There's a white thing, a white box at the top of the chat box. It's got the link to the quiz in there. I can see there's only 65 of you here already. So that's like a third of how many people were in there yesterday. So all of you automatically have got more than a 1% chance of winning today's prize. That's not bad. That's not bad. What are we saying down here? Who's going to United versus Bournemouth? Tickets are cheap. I think United are trying to ship them out, aren't they now? Alone achieves nothing. I don't know how you come up with that answer out. So I tell you what achieves nothing. Him sitting at the club where he's just not going to get any opportunities and nothing's going to change in second half of the season. You can't preempt a massive injury from everyone. Right. Should we get on with this? There's over 100 of you tuned in now. You're ready for it. I love these quizzes, man. It was a good idea. And big up to Alex for helping making them happen. And big up to everyone for tuning in. Let's get that cheesy song on. All right. Probably. Man. How is this good every day? I don't know. Right. 5 questions. Fastest finger first. This is what the quiz is. Whoever's top of the leaderboard at the end of 5 questions, you'll win a prize. Simple as that. Right. First question. And they get harder as you go along. Which United player recently made his international debut in goal versus Liechtenstein? I reckon that was Tom Heaton. Everyone's got to get that, haven't they? No. Nearly 30 of you didn't. Good old Senny. All right. 82 of you got that right. Who got it right for fastest? Mavericks there leading. Vote GOAT. That's a new name. Like that. Maverick. The link is the top of the chat. How many times have I got to say it? More than once every day. Ready? Second question. This season, United have had more shots on goal than any other team in the Premier League. How many shots have they had? That's a hard question. 224, 195, 238, or 213? 238? Come on. I'm playing this as well, but I didn't know the answer to that. Captain T1, you sent it a super chat. I'll try and read that after the quiz. Who's second? Brian's got it right again. But Lucifer. That's a banging Jay-Z song, that is. We've got the devil up top. Who's knocking Lucifer off? Come on. That was a hard question. I'm not going to lie. Third question, right? Which United legend is the academy building at Carrington named after? Good question, that one. Matt Busby, Alex Ferguson, or Jimmy Murphy? See if you pay attention. You should know this one. And it is, of course, Jimmy Murphy. 8 if you got it right. 47 you got it wrong. It's a tough one. United knowledge. Who's top? Is the Devil still top? Love sight. No, Ant. You were fastest there, Ant. But not fast enough. Lucifer is there still at the top. Is this question 4 now? Or is this question 5? Can't actually remember. Question 4, right? Let's go over this one. Who was the last United player to score 20 league goals in a season? Bruno, Van Persie, Rashford, or Ronaldo? Now, I know the answer to this one, but So it's Van Persie. See, I thought it was Rashford as well. But Alex has done his research, which must mean that Rashford didn't actually score 20 league goals, but I think he scored 30 goals in all competitions. So, it must mean he didn't get 20 in the league. All right? Alex has been doing this. He's been doing his research, so you've got to trust him, right? So who's... Quite a lot of you got that one wrong. Who got it right? Brian got it right. Love sight. Most of you did, but Lucifer. See ya. Brian's now top of leaderboard. Love sight just behind him. He's got a pretty decent lead, Brian. He shouldn't balls it up from this point. Will he bottle it? Will Brian bottle it? He's sitting there. He's getting nervous now. Right? Dramatic. So Rashford, apparently the most Premier League goals he got in the season was 17. Thank you very much, Steph. You ready for question 5? It's been a tough one today. Right, last one. 3, 2, 1. Go. He won league titles as assistant manager at both United and Man City. Who is it? Is it Mark Hughes, Brian Kidd, or Steve Coppell? Ooh. Tough one. And if I remember correctly, he was the assistant when Steve Bruce scored the header. And he went jumping up and down. It was, of course, Brian Kidd. I say, of course. That was hard. Oh, more of you got that wrong than got it right. Damn. Who wins it? You ready? Oh, we got Brian. Oh, he's bottled it, ladies and gents. Bottle. He's bottled it. Love sight. The bottle's having again. He's having again. Oh, people. Can't take it. Brian. It's tough out here. Love sight. Congratulations. Round of applause. John's fuming at the number of shots question. Hey look, don't shoot it, don't shoot. I'm not creating these quizzes. That's Alex. Alex is the mastermind behind the quizzes. Big up to you, Love Sight. Congratulations. You've won. Make sure you reach out to Alex or Maddie on the Discord. Right? Josh, you're Lucifer. You bottled it. Right? And you're saying you're Love Sight. Well, there's another ant down there. There's too many ants. Too many ants. Too many ants. Please, can you take the prize and raffle it for the Great Ormond Street? That's fantastic of you, dude. I'll look at what today's prize was, and whatever that equivalent is, I'll add that into the pot for the Great Ormond Street at the end of it. So I'll add that on top of it. Big up to you, dude. I'll make sure I write that down to remember it. Brian, you've got to go back to the drawing board, mate. That's a bad bottle. That is a bad bottle. Yeah, I think he's secretly, let's be honest, he's secretly Mikel Arteta. Look, thank you all for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that chat today. There was a fun chat about the Academy. The lunchtime video is going to be on JJ Gabriel. Make sure you check that out. And yeah, as always, I'll see you tomorrow. Take it easy.